Bambinos. So it's the mighty Bambinos' final outing, a standing start for these guys, fully electric motor. Let's see how the grid lines up for the final. Here it is, Kane, Langley, who's been fairly dominant throughout the entirety, although Ansel has been wanting to shake things up for the back end of this Sunday, is in second place. Harris Barber third, Albert Batchelor in fourth, Sidney Nell in fifth, and Max Joy in sixth. Rhys-David Richardson ended up DNFing, unfortunately, in the free final, putting him all the way down to seventh, and Freddie Baker will round out the grid in eighth. So the mighty Bambinos, they are in the dummy grid, just waiting to get the go-ahead to get going. Obviously, we have a few karts to recover out there on the circuit. Carter's mechanics have actually just been given the hurry-up. So they are the karts that we are just about waiting for. If you tune in to the rest of the stream, well, you know the information I'm about to give you. But if you're just tuning in for the final, then this is what we're basically looking at. Electric Bambinos. The one of two classes supplied by the Might E series. Available from drivers from 4 years old. Quite incredible, really, to see that these drivers are going out. And unlike most of the series that we have here today, I don't get an indication on when these drivers are going out on circuit by the roar of the engines. I just see it out of my commentary booth because obviously they are fully electric. A big standing start. Langley been very dominant so far in the evening. So if you're here to tune in for some Might E action, please do let us know in the comments. I've seen some people give shout outs to Team Denton. That's Freddie Denton, of course. Came in second place in that previous race. 10-minute finals, and as per usual, we're just going to be waiting for these drivers to pull around, get onto the full grid, and then we'll be ready to go racing. A couple of the drivers then joining us on the grid. Nice to see them. The number 96 there of Ansel Murray, hoping to really push the battle to the number 10 that you can see on the left-hand side in Langley. To be honest, Ansel Murray's sort of biggest, I'd say, on-track rival for the majority of the day has been Rhys-David Richardson, who unfortunately, as we said, DNF'd in that pre-final, meaning he starts all the way back in 7th place. What it will mean is we have an entertaining race to watch him come through, a bit like in the previous races as well, when we saw the two, their names elude me now, but the two drivers switch from the front row to the back row. 5-second board, lights come on. I would say the engine notes rise, but they don't, but we do have a couple of jump starts. Oh, how are they going to be given? Will we be harsh or will we just let them get away with it? We'll have to wait and see. It's not up to me. It's up to the stewards. Good start by Kane Langley, though, as he has done in pretty much every single race so far. Harris Barber tucked up to the backside of Ansel Murray, who leads from Barber up the top of the hill. Such a difference. Oh, a bit of a hit there by, oh no, actually there's a spin as well. I think that was Max Joy, the spinner, number 33. It is an odd sensation when there is no noise, but look at how Rhys-David Richardson has already gained here. He's already fighting for podium spaces. He started on 7th row. He got a good start, jumped himself up to 6th off the line. And by the looks of this opening lap, we could see him, yeah, fighting against Ansel Murray before we even get to the end of the second lap. And that's exactly what we see. Richardson up 3 places into 3rd. Barber, Batchelor, Sindinella, the drivers that he dispatched. Freddie Baker overtaking Max Joy, of course, because Max had that spin that we just caught the outside glimpse of. And the fastest lap of the race by 0.4 of a second is Rhys Richardson. Oh, we've had another spinner there. That's a 32 Harris Barber. Luckily, he gets back going, though, with no harm done. Look at this. Ansel Murray's turned his engine up to 11, hasn't he? He's overclocked his engine at the moment, and he's really pushing Langley hard. And I have to say, Langley, for all his dominance on results, I think Murray and Richardson have got to grips with this circuit. Maybe it just took a little bit longer than it took Langley to get to grips with GYG. But again, the fastest lap of the race by 0.6 of a second this time was Rhys-David Richardson. He's got the bit between his teeth. And he's very much hoping to try and make some moves here. To try and maybe he's taken the GP plate already. There's absolutely no reason why he shouldn't be thinking of taking the victory here in the final. Kane Langley, if you remember in the GP final, he had a big old gap, a big margin. He had about 3 seconds, but it just kept ebbing away from him. And in the end, Murray gained all that time back, and ended up. It was a catalyst of effects of back markers that meant that Kane lost the race lead, and Richardson went flying in there to take it. With Murray, well, that was just then in this race, Murray going far too hot through some of the S's. You got to be a bit patient. It's not all hell for leather. You got to keep your head on. Richardson keeping his head on for now, just trying to tuck up to the backside of Murray. As they go up the top of the hill, it's still Langley in the race lead. That's not entirely surprising, because I think they're just weighing each other up at the moment. So Might E are electric conversion kit specialists, and they've brought us some really good racing here today as well in the karts, and they do have quite a lot of other products. They go fully electric bikes and everything like that as well. So we will probably be seeing in the racing world as a whole, not just karting, Might E becoming a bit of a house name. That's, I'm sure, what they'll be hoping for anyway. And I mentioned in the pre-final the popularity that's been building over electric. I was about to say esports. It's obviously not esports. It's a different kind of motorsport. Oh, actually, put a pin in that. Murray going for a race lead here, and he's got the race lead on Langley. Richardson trying to follow suit, but not quite happening just yet. Look at this. Murray checking over his shoulder, making sure that Langley's not going to go for a quick dive. I see some dads on the gantry giving the waves, making sure that their drivers see them. Trying to give them that encouragement from the sideline. Some drivers like it. Some drivers like to look over and see that encouragement and see the lap times and all that sort of thing. Other drivers just like to get on with it until they see the checkered flag. It's all about personal preferences. Got some blue flags here as we're coming up towards Max Joy, who does exactly what you should do as a back marker. Really well done there, Max. Pulling over off the racing line, making sure that you're not in the way of any of the leaders, because your race could depend on it, and so could theirs, to be honest. We've seen plenty of back markers decide race, podium positions just by getting slightly in the way. So Murray still leading, checking over his shoulder. Just 4.5 minutes to go on this Might E Bambino Championship final. Remember, this is Glannygore, 4th round of the BKC. They're off to Rowett next time for the finale. Allowed 1 drop score, which I think a few people will be hoping to use after this round for sure. They're coming through the final corner now. Langley has a good track position. See if he can hunker up behind. He's not going for the slipstream. He's not going to go hunkering up behind Murray just yet. But look at how Murray's just checking over his shoulder all the time. He's just looking left, left, left. We've seen it in a couple of other of the classes. The more you do that, the more you're going to make mistakes. And that could allow another driver who you didn't really think of coming through, absolutely screaming up your inside. Murray going for that defensive line into the double left-hander now as well. Langley again positioning his car, so it's just if Murray looked one way, he wouldn't see it. So it's just those mind games that he's trying to pull on the other drivers, and it's everything that these guys will be looking to learn from these series as well. I mean, we are looking at drivers that are aged between about 4 to 7 years old, 5 years old probably to 7 years old, and they're doing so well out there. Not just these three drivers, but the others out there on the field as well. Murray is making too much time looking left at Richardson. He hasn't spent enough time looking right and trying to close off that gap. Richardson going for a move on Langley here. Around the outside's ambitious, and thankfully he thought better of it. And this battle continues on towards the latter stages of this race, the final third. Or the final quarter, I should say, actually. 2.5 minutes to go. It is interesting, isn't it? You just hear a bit more. I can imagine as a driver, these guys won't have experienced much petrol-based racing before now, but I reckon if you went from a petrol-based car to this one, it would feel a touch odd, but the driving remains the same. You still have to have good lines. You still have to have good minimal speed through the corner. As look at this, Ansel Murray yet again looking for that defensive line, but Richardson's gone through on Langley. And I think that was actually a lot quicker than we were expecting now, that we could see the way that the camera's positioned looking directly at that. It's difficult to find a perspective, but Richardson moves past Langley and into second place. Langley looking up the inside, down the left-hander, not happening just yet. Back markers galore for these drivers to now carve their way through. Hopefully they're all paying attention to the blue flags. They seem to be getting out of the way, but I hope they realise there's 3 of them and not just 2. Or 1. Because sometimes that can catch drivers out, and exactly that. Langley having to go a very long way around the outside there. It is a difficult place to catch back markers. There isn't many places they can go, because if they go the outside of one corner, they'll be on the inside of another, and they'll be on the outside of the next. And it's difficult to really judge where you want to go. Murray again, whacking his neck round to the left. Couldn't see anyone, looks right, and all of a sudden he's got a GP plate staring straight at him on the inside. He comes back across. There was a 1/10 of a second between them. Coming across the line. Ansel Murray with the fastest lap of the race by a good 0.2 of a second, by the way. So he isn't exactly unfair to be in this race lead. I think this may be this lap, or the end of this lap, then 2 to go. So again, plenty of opportunities for these mighties to be getting past each other. Langley seems to, oh, no, there he is. I was about to say disappeared. I was scared that we may be hearing a screech of tyres and maybe a thump into a wall, but luckily he's kept it all nicely on track. I have to say, touch wood, the driving standards have been absolutely brilliant today. You know, the BKC have really shown what they do best, I suppose. And for a bunch of drivers out there who are slightly less experienced than other series we may cover, they've been a testament to how good they performed there, or how well they performed there, I should say. That is Langley getting past Richardson again, so they have changed second and third. Oh, that is a door left open. No, Murray thought, oh, yeah, I've just seen that. I'll better go and close that one. Making sure that he holds on to his first place for as long as possible. This will be the penultimate lap. The counter has tipped down to 0, meaning we are on the last lap of the race. Coming up to the final corner then, for what will be the penultimate time. We can hear people in the background cheering because they're hoping that Murray can keep this one. Oh, is he opening the door? Again, it's hard to see from this perspective. I think Langley's through. Oh, they're alongside each other. This is a race-defining moment here. And I think Langley's got it. And I think, crucially, no, he hasn't. In fact, Langley's backed out of it big style. Richardson moves into second place. Murray holds on to the race lead, going defensive down the hill. I have to say, we've covered the Mighties all day. This is the best race we've had. And it's really brilliant. I mean, the pre-final looked a touch sedate. But this has been absolutely awesome from these three drivers and the rest of the field as well. We just haven't seen too much of them. Because, oh, has Murray gone too hot? Murray's gone too hot. Richardson's going through on the final corner. Is he going to dive to the inside? No, Murray's gotten away with it. And this might be Langley to take third place. Don't celebrate too soon. Richardson gets second. Alfie Murray in the race lead. Kane Langley in third place. I tell you what, cutting it fine. I want to know what the gap was. 0.03 of a second between Murray and Richardson. Never take your hand off the wheel when it's that close, because you never know what could come to bite you. And 1/10 of a second between Kane Langley and Ansel Murray. So there was only about half a tenth in it between each of the drivers. Harris Barber came across the line to take fourth, with fifth being Albert Batchelor. Sidney Nell in sixth. Freddie Baker in seventh. And Max Shaw is taking the line to finish in eighth place. A round of applause for the mighty Bambinos. Easily the best race of their weekend, in my opinion. And they saved the best till last.